Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Today we're tackling something that might really make you rethink the whole idea of profanity. Seriously, try to clear your mind of what usually comes up when you hear bad words, just for a moment. Because we're diving into this, well, it's a really unique space, Arreqqana profanity, especially within their spirituality and their culture. We've got some fascinating sources for this, excerpts from Arreqqana profanity, sacred insults and slang, and also these three short theatrical scenes that really bring it all to life. So our mission today, let's unpack this. We want to understand how Arreqqana profanity just radically redefines what it means to insult or offend someone. It moves way beyond, vulgarity. It gets into concepts like disresonance, dishonor, and even the sacrilegious misuse of sacred ideas.
It really is fascinating how language, especially cultures, let's say forbidden words, can be such a direct window. A window straight into their core values. And this Arreqqana material, it definitely gives us a rare glimpse, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And, it makes me think about how often we might miss that in our own languages. So to really get the Arreqqana view, we first have to sort of reset our own default settings about what makes a word bad. Because like we said, their profanity isn't really about graphic stuff or, bodily functions like in many modern Earth languages. Not at all. Instead, it hits directly at things like disresonance, dishonor, or messing with sacred concepts in a sacrilegious way. That difference is really the key aha moment here, I think.
That's a huge distinction, absolutely. But it does raise a question for me. If their curses aren't about that kind of vulgarity, what does that tell us about what they actually hold sacred? And, how do they express intense emotions like anger or frustration, if not through those channels we're familiar with? Do these disresonant expressions carry that weight too?
That's a really sharp point. And the sources do hint at that, how these seemingly sacred insults can definitely pack a serious emotional punch. So let's start with the top tier, what the sources call disresonant expressions. These are described as deeply serious insults, really reserved for the worst offenses, particularly in sacred contexts. First one, kusava. It's pronounced kusava. It means one who cuts resonance. Think about accusing someone of deliberately shattering harmony or severing some kind of sacred connection. It's like calling them a sacrilegious traitor, heavy stuff.
Wow, yeah. Cuts resonance. That's evocative.
Then there's taklakwan. Taklakan means a false braider. This one targets someone who lies, but specifically while they're pretending to speak sacred truth. Sort of like liar in robes or, holy fraud.
Ah, so deception tied directly to the sacred.
Exactly. And the last one in this really serious category is kislaro. Kisaro, literally thread snapper. It's what an accuser calls someone who betrays fundamental community bonds or sacred oaths.
Looking at these together, Kusava, Taklakwan, Kisaaro, it really illuminates how deeply they value harmony, truth, and that communal integrity, doesn't it? These words aren't just insults, they're almost like pronouncements. They strike right at the core of their spiritual and social order. Which makes perfect sense why they'd be considered the most offensive. They target the very fabric of their world.
Right. So if those are the top tier, most offensive terms hitting at the sacred, what about just, everyday foolishness or bad behavior? That brings us to the next category. Insults of foolishness or low conduct. Still critical, but maybe less. Spiritually damning.
A different level of offense.
Exactly. For instance, zabato. Zabato. It means brain of steam. Describes someone foolish, maybe puffed up, but with no real substance, no grounding. Kind of like our airhead, I suppose.
Brain of steam. I like that one. Very visual.
Or how about malaki? Malaki, that's mouth of echoes.
Oh.
Used for someone who just repeats nonsense or gossips, maybe speaks out of turn. The sources say this one's generally milder, maybe even used playfully sometimes.
Mouth of echoes, like they're just reflecting noise without thought.
Yeah. And then there's noljifar. Noljifar means twisted cord. It's an insult for someone erratic, maybe a bit mentally unstable. But what's interesting here is the sources note it's often used playfully, almost teasingly. I can sort of picture someone calling a hyper kid that.
That spectrum is really telling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It shows us that, okay, not every mistake is a universe-ending transgression in their eyes.
Yeah.
There's room for just human messiness. People being foolish or annoying without, fundamentally threatening the sacred order. It shows a certain nuance in how they see behavior.
Definitely nuanced. And that nuance sort of continues when we look at the next category, spiritual mockery or taboo phrases. These often seem tied into specific cultural rituals and can carry a lot of emotional weight.
Ah. Okay, so maybe more situational.
Seems like it. Take la tequila. La tequila eso. This is a serious curse phrase. It means, may your flame scatter, and it's used with real intensity, real anger. Clearly hints at some core spiritual belief about flame.
May your flame scatter. Wow. That sounds deeply personal, spiritually speaking.
Right. Then there's Sarajin. Sarajin means rotten breath. Apparently used in arguments to say someone's voice, or even just their presence, is like spiritually rancid, foul.
Rotten breath. Oof, that's visceral, even translated.
And one more, quite specific, kiruvak. Kiruvak. It's described as a sharp cry, meaning begone, shadow leech. And this one is apparently used specifically in temple disputes. It's like an energetic command to exile someone.
These are powerful examples. They're not just words, are they? They feel like actions, like speech acts. They point directly to specific cultural things like flame scattering or this energetic exile. It shows how deeply woven their language is with their actual spiritual life, their rituals. Almost like the words themselves are believed to have a real spiritual force.
Absolutely. Okay, final category brings us closer to maybe what we might recognize as slang, though still through their lens. This is slang profanity, or what the sources call vulgar youth words. Less about the sacred, more about everyday frustration or bluntness.
Okay, the more casual end of the spectrum.
Seems like it. First, fekani. Fekani. A blunt term meaning messy soul. Roughly like calling someone a hot mess or maybe a wreck in our slang, just generally chaotic or messed up.
Messy soul. Still has that spiritual echo, though, doesn't it? Even in the slang.
It does, yeah. Then there's toksha. Tuksha. Short, harsh. Seems to be an exclamation like our damn or maybe shoot. You know when you stub your toe or get frustrated?
Ah, the universal cry of frustration. Every language needs one.
Pretty much. And lastly, jokaluk. Jokluk. Described as an ugly word. For someone who stirs up chaos and then, like, vanishes or hides. A cowardly instigator.
Ooh, that's a specific kind of unpleasantness, the stir the pot and run type.
Exactly. Okay, so we've laid out the vocabulary, the categories. But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Seeing them used, you shared those fantastic scenes that really bring this stuff to life.
Yes, the scenes help ground these terms in actual interactions.
Let's start with scene 1. This one's labeled comedic, the loud market gossip. So picture this. Bright sunlight, busy open-air market, lots of stalls, spices, chatter. We have Tamakila, described as a nosy auntie type. Raskun, a young vendor she's bugging. And old Nunji, sort of lurking nearby, being grumpy.
Classic market scene setup.
Right, so Tamakila leans in, loudly whispering, "Did you hear? Liason Veda kissed a flame dancer during Dalali hour."
Raskun, the vendor, is clearly fed up. He goes, "Auntie, you're such a malaki. Nobody asked for your echo mouth today."
Yeah. Using echo mouth right back at her gossip.
Exactly. Tamakila fires back, "Excuse me, you little Nolji Far. I braid the truth cleaner than your dusty tomatoes," calling him a twisted cord.
Okay, so twisted cord used playfully, maybe insultingly here.
Seems like it. Then from behind a crate, old Nunji just grumbles out, "Kusava, both of you. This is a market, not a thread slap match." Using that really serious term, sacrilegious traitor. But it sounds more like exasperation here, like you disruptive nuisances.
That's fascinating. The context shifts the weight. Totally. Then Raskun mutters, "Someone needs a Toksha moment. Like, damn it." And Tamakila just cackles and says, "Ha! Better than being a Jojoklak who hides when the truth burns." Calling Nunji a cowardly instigator, basically.
That scene is brilliant. It shows how even the really heavy terms, like kusava, can be adapted. They get pulled into everyday arguments. It shows how flexible the language is, how deeply these concepts permeate the culture, even in lighter moments. It suggests their core value of harmony is so strong, they even use these worse words almost as tools for, like, social course correction in daily life, not just for ultimate condemnation.
That's a great insight. Okay, now let's shift gears completely. From comedy to high drama, scene 2, dramatic betrayal in the temple. The setting is totally different. A sacred flame chamber, flickering candlelight, ancient carvings. A serious vow has been broken. Characters. High flame priestess Selena, her former apprentice Loran, who got caught sharing secret temple chants with outsiders. And Virey, a silent temple guard.
Okay, the stakes are much higher here.
Much higher. Selena starts, her voice described as cold cutting. "Loran, did you truly braid our sacred rites into an outsider's scroll?" Loran tries to defend herself. "I did what I felt in my soul. Isn't that what the flame teaches?" But Selena's response is chilling. "No, you braided rot. You have become Taklakwan." That's liar in robes, the holy fraud.
Direct accusation.
Yes.
Using the precise term for that specific betrayal.
Loran insists I shared the light, but Selena begins this chant like a final judgment. Kisa Aro, thread snapper. You are no longer one of us. Just cuts her off. Severed the bond.
Wow. The word itself is the severing.
Seems so. Then Vere, the guard, steps forward silently, raises her veil, and just warns, leave now, or hear the words, La Takira, threatening that may your flames scatter, curse. Loran is apparently shaking, her voice breaking. Even my name burns from your breath, just devastating.
Yeah, this scene really drives home the ultimate consequence in their society for betraying that sacred trust, that community bond. The words aren't just descriptive insults anymore. They are the act. They perform the spiritual excommunication. It just shows the immense power baked into their language, the power to fundamentally change someone's place in their entire world, spiritually and socially.
Such a contrast to the market scene. Okay, one more. Scene 3. Comedic, dramatic, hybrid, the family dinner explosion. Back to a more domestic setting. Family dinner, stews on the table. Younger sibling, Savi, decides it's time to spill some tea. Characters. Reckless Savi, Mama Eljona, Dada Quarrel, and older sister Yima, the target of the gossip.
Family drama. Always relatable.
Totally. Savi blurts out, guess what? Yima was caught sneaking out with the chantline boy again. Yima absolutely explodes. Use the Bado, use steaming brain of no sense, using brain of steam on her sibling.
Perfect sibling insult material.
Mama Eljona jumps in, turning to the dad. Coral, your son is becoming a Fakani. A spirit mess on 2 feet. Calling Savi a hot mess.
Even the mom's insult has that spiritual flavor, spirit mess.
Yep. Dada Coral finally loses it, raises his voice. Sir, John, all of you, this table is sacred. Using rotten breath, almost like shut up. Trying to restore order.
Trying to claim sanctity even amidst the chaos.
Yima then threatens Savi, holding her stew bowl. If he doesn't shut his Malaki mouth, I'm tipping this stew on his threads, targeting his echo mouth. And Savi, being the instigator, just goes, Chiclock, move, I'm gonna run now, and literally darts off as Stu goes flying. He embraces being the cowardly instigator.
That's brilliant. It shows the whole range again, doesn't it? How the same words can escalate things or be used to try and diffuse them, all depending on who's speaking, how they say it, and what's going on. From the market banter to the temple's profound judgment to this chaotic family dinner, these examples really paint a picture of just how rich and dynamic Arreqqana communication is. It mirrors the whole spectrum of how people interact.
Absolutely. So after all this, what's the big takeaway for us? I think this deep dive into Arreqqana profanity really does challenge our own assumptions pretty fundamentally. It's not about bad words as just being vulgar or crude. It's about concepts, actions that cut against the deepest values of their society, that spiritual and communal fabric. It just throws into sharp relief how much their language reflects what they hold dearest: harmony, truth, community, their sacred ways.
And that really leaves us with a provocative thought, doesn't it? If Arreqqana profanity mirrors their deepest cultural values, their sacred concepts, what does the profanity in our languages, the words we consider offensive, taboo, bad, what does that reveal? What do our swear words, our insults, consciously or unconsciously, show about what we hold sacred or what we find truly offensive on a deeper societal level?
That is definitely something to chew on, a really thought-provoking question to end with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Arreqqana language and culture. Keep exploring these ideas, keep thinking about them, and we will catch you next time.